A lot of people complicate quantum. It shouldn't be that complicated. You just have to trust the process, trust the setups, right? Wait, be patient, respect your stop losses, and keep sizing consistent. Look, candle didn't candle didn't break, right? It didn't close below 90.85, pushed up 20 points. All right. If it closed up here, right, I might have tested this. If I'm degenning on an account, I might have tested the break above. My stop loss would have been that candle right here. It's 74. 87, 13 points, right? 13 points. I got 13 points and then some. So you'll see how these areas tend to hold beautifully. This is where you'll be ranging for a bit potentially, right? Until you start breaking again, right? These blue candles are gone. Now for the continuation up, right? Unless we get more quantum candles that get built up around here, continuation up won't occur until you break 70, 68, right? You got this 65.50 level. You got a big purple up here at 68.75. So this whole 68 area, the 65, 68 is now a very strong potential resistance point. And if that breaks, right, you're going to get a potential continuation push up. And here's that blue on the 5. So this area down here was actually a very strong potential bounce area just based on what we had down there for the blues, right? We had a 5-minute blue at around 85, lined up with that 1 minute at 85. Oh, look, we got a nice bounce, right? We got a nice little bounce to scalp there, just based on that. And then you would have another bearish candle. And now you can start piecing it together where you're going to have your areas of chop, potential areas of chop. And here, right, you could kind of see like an orb, right? You could kind of see like an orb there, right? And then there's a break in the bottom, right? There's a potential setup there. Potential, right? Obviously, we got a 5-minute level below, so you have to play caution going against the 5-minute level. Because if it closes above here, right? Again, right? Same thing. We just closed a below a 5. You could use the whole 5-minute as a stop loss as well. But let's see if we get this push, right? There it goes. Right? Again, be cautious trying to aim for a level as a TP because it might not hit it if that level is strong. If that level is strong, you're going to get a pull up before it. But let's just see if it gets down there. Right? If you already got your 1-to-1 RR, you're okay with going break even after you're up a certain amount. Absolutely. You could start moving it to the level. You could start moving it to the range. You could start moving it to the breaking candle. We got another potential blue forming here. And you could be happy taking what you take, right? There's a big blue buy. What am I seeing here? The 5-minute is getting retested. So this whole thing could get retested here. That 5-minute breaking candle could get retested, the whole thing. And this might take me out on my 1-minute entry here. Boom, took me out. Look at that, right? Now we're stuck in between here. Now we're stuck in between 89 and 61. All right. So this big purple break or this big blue break might get tested, right? We have that 5-minute level below. We hit 54. So now I'm thinking that 5-minute level might be somewhat strong. Let's see what occurs here, right? We're just going to get stuck in here, or we're going to get a failed bullish move on the 1 minute for that confirmation for continuation. All right, let's see what occurs. So I'm showing you guys examples of everything, like exactly how I would test a trade here and there, right? Obviously, the entries on these are not the entries I would get on the DOM. Right, the entry on this play would have been like a little bit would have been around, where would it have been? Do we have a blue right here? So my entry on this would have been closer to 82, 83. My risk would have been 92, right? And we would have gotten our 1-to-1 RR on that right there. We would have gotten it. But again, right, I'm not a TradingView trader, so I don't use it very often. So now we're getting the whole test of that purple on the 5. So the stop loss would be around 31. Still super risky for testing a potential rejection up here. So I would wait a little longer. Two minutes trying to cross up as well. So I'd be cautious here too. But if I'm trying to catch a rejection point, right, I'm looking for where my lowest risk will be to reject on this candle at 31. Right, it got to 9. I'd want it to get a little closer to reduce the risk for potential rejection of this candle. Didn't give it to me, right? It actually just rejected there, almost 20 points. Yeah, more than 20 points, right? Just pulling up to 9. So you would have gotten your 1-to-1 on that right there, just that rejection. But I'd like it to get closer personally. And I want to see what the DOM would do up there. and we don't have a DOM to look at, right, this would technically be gone now. And so far, it's struggling to pull over that 205. And oh, got to mark up these on the 2 minute, right? We got one at 29, which would also add a little bit of resistance point to that 30. And then just continuation push down. It didn't want to retest the whole candle, and that's okay. Didn't present a good re-entry for me. That's perfectly fine. All right, I'm not going to catch every single trade. All right, another bearish candle. All right, here's another potential bullish break. Right, again, same kind of idea. Right, same kind of idea. Will I probably get stopped out? Yeah. All right, I'm going to get stopped out here and there. Oh my gosh, what did I just do? All right, same kind of idea. You'll get stopped out. You get stopped out. That wick, if you had it too close, you would have got stopped out, right? We're up against a 5 minute level. It's still choppy and rangy, and this would be strike 2 or 3 or whatever you want to, make it. And then you would move on, and you'd be like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to play this area because this area is just getting all chopped up, right? There's another loss. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? It's not moving the way I want it to move. Let me take a break, right? What time is this? This is around 12:19, lunchtime. Usually around lunchtime, guess what? There's a volume drop. So you're going to get extra wicks, and you're going to have to be extra patient, okay? Let's see what this wants to do. Still wants to drop. That 5 minute up here would have been the best retest of that 5 minute break. The 1 minute is very choppy. Now we're just ranging right here. Right. See, even I missed. This is why I love to take screenshots of my plays, right? If I lost this one, I would have screenshotted it. Why? Because this candle is also a breaking candle, right? This candle broke that blue right here. Right? This candle right here. It retested this candle and this candle. So your entry could have been at 73, your stop loss would have been 91, 18 points. Would we have gotten 18 points? Yes. All right, there's a buy. Right, now we're seeing if this is going to potentially reverse, or this is technically an A++ setup. All right, so there it goes. I was just gonna make an entry. Right, let's just see. I already moved up. All right, 135, and let's see if we can get that push up. And again, you could just, A++ cross inside the body and everything. The move already kind of happened right here. Would have scalped that push up here. And now we got a purple, now we got range. So now we'll potentially get out of it or wait to see if we get the confirmation break of that. We're stuck inside the range. And just an example of how you would play around. And now, if I made that entry, I'd be like, oh no, right? I didn't catch this entry here at 64 and took that 10 points. Now I'm stuck in here looking to get my 10 points again. Right, but I would need to break 71. All right, there you would have gotten your 1 for 1. Right there, boom. Again, right? You're gonna have little moments, right? You're gonna have little moments like that, and that's a part of trading. You're gonna expect losses. You're gonna expect little choppy moves, but there it goes, right? I went in my A++ setup, put my stop loss, got caught up in a little bit of a range, was like, oh snap, and there's the move continuing. Right, this is where I would have runners running, and they'd probably go to test what? This right here, this 94 retracement. And now there's a break of a bearish, I'm sorry. Let's see if this holds above. Now you could get rid of this. You could put that blue down below, change that to blue, boom. Now you have your kind of wider looking area on the 1. I don't have anything on the 5 yet. Now this needs to also break this 2. That 2 minute candle needs to break up at 03, right? Look at that resistance point. Right, and I know some of you degens like to do stuff like this. Right, I know some of you degens do stupid stuff like this. Right, and can you? Yeah. Look, I may just make $300 with 1 mini. We're playing the rejection of the top. Right, you can play around. And again, right, you have to get comfortable, kind of reading the DOM, reading the market, and then you easily start collecting low risk trades, right? Now we're at the bottom, right? If I'm looking at the DOM from that pull down, I'm like, ooh, that didn't pull up at all, right? And now it's breaking through. It's not really giving me any entry. 5 minute is doing also a failed bullish move here, but it's right back at that 5 minute level. Now this is risky, right? I'm gonna get into the sell. This is very risky. Okay, you can put your stop loss above here. You can put your stop loss all the way up top, right? The 5 minute hasn't closed yet. The 5 minute hasn't closed yet, so I'm preemptively entering on the one. It's probably not going to play out, but let's just see, right? Oh, we got a blue minute coming up too. You know, this is where you gotta play caution and be careful. But I want to show you guys what losing trades and winning trades look like and why they potentially don't win. Or, you know, if it plays out, right, failed bullish move on the 5 minute, your stop loss will be all the way up here at 96. Am I going to risk all that, you know, on one mini? That's going to be 842. You would look for a move all the way down here, right? That's very risky because that 35 level needs to break, and it might take a while. It might take a while. So I'd rather go for my 1-for-1 if I can get it on my 1 minute break, which would be around 260. Let's see if we can get that 260. It's close. It wants to get there. But that 5 minute level is holding down. All right, there's 205. Almost. It almost got there. Getting really close to that 5 minute level. But if that 5 minute level holds, you're not going to have a tap. There's 215, 245. Right? There's 250, 260. Boom. Now I can trail. All right. Now I'll be happy with whatever it gives me. There you go. Okay. That's another example, right? Played out. Yes, right, but there was still risk in play. You still understood that it could easily pop back up. I took it, took my money, moved on. Okay. Sorry, I missed the beginning. He was looking at the quantum candle sparks as 5 minute levels. What would it be possible if I have quantum to draw these levels automatically? No, Ant, because you are going to have lines all over the place. It's up to you, right? This whole thing isn't an automation thing. I still want you guys to learn to read the market, read the chart, be able to determine plot points, right? What am I liking? Does this look like, you know, if you have lines all over the place, you're going to just confuse yourself. You're going to be like, well, where do I play? Where do I have room to play? You have to be able to read the chart and determine what is worth it for you, right? When things line up, right? You have this 5 minute candle with the purple up here at 995. What else do I have, right? I have one on the 1 minute right here, 992, right? I got one at 01. So this is what I'm looking at, right? So these lines, you have to be able to draw them just because there's going to be lines all over the place at that point. And I'm only going to pick and choose where I have room, right? When you have a bunch of blue candles all over the place, very tight, I'm not going to mark every single one of them. I'm only going to mark the lowest one because that's the one that I'm going to be looking at, right? I'm only looking at the lowest plot points and that's it. So like the 5 minute, right? Let's go to the 5 minute at the beginning of the day, right? I did mark them all up, but this is going to be the problem, right? Because you're going to have levels and markups all over the place. When it's super rangy and choppy like this, you're just going to have a bunch of lines all over the place. And especially when the 1 minute, because there's instances where the 1 minute does this as well, you're just going to have a ton of lines everywhere, right? And you don't want that. You want to have a good read of what it's going to potentially do. And you want to have you want to be able to choose where you want to see a reaction, okay? But when you have lines everywhere, it's like, just say this was a 1 minute chart. It's going to look super tight. You're going to have this little tiny spot down here. You know, you're just going to have all sorts of lines all over the place. You don't want that. You just want to pick where the wideness is, where you want to play between. And then obviously this was an opening drop. So the opening drop just bulldozed through a bunch of bullish candles, right? You can see how it reacts, where it finally pauses, right? This big candle that broke through multiple, right? This right here, there's your retest, 2 retests, right? Your stop loss would have been all the way up here though. Or you could have put it somewhere in the midpoint of this for that continuation drop. So again, right? This is just, you have lines and levels. You're gonna put more doubt in yourself. You can't do that. Because as you saw, right, my examples of the entry points, I got in, I got in with what my setups were, understanding what could potentially happen at a level. But you have your confluences. You had your 5-minute breaking, you had your 1-minute breaking, you had your 2-minute not having any candles, so I couldn't even use that. And oh, look, another one, right? Another, oh yeah, no, it's the same one that already played out. So that's why we don't have it do it automatically. I still want you guys to be able to read the charts, plot your own areas of interest, right? Line them up with other confluences. I love to line up my candles with my sauce box, the 786, the 236, right? Those are the candles I look for. Is this pattern the majority of the strategy? No, it's not, Ken. This is the easiest one. This is the one a lot of people ignored, right? The quantum ranges was one that a lot of people ignored. They only, everyone looks at the signals. Everyone loves signals, right? The signals are great with confirmation and confluences, right? You don't want to just blindly play signals without any confirmation, or I'm sorry, not confirmation, with any other confluences, right? Whether it be a level, obviously when you have your trifecta, the 1, 2, and 5 lining up, that's the point of these, right? When you have the A++ setup and your own personal confluences, like for me, a Saucebox, I catch so many amazing trades off of Saucebox in these. Orb, same kind of thing, Orb, right? A lot of you guys who have, you know, llamas, fibs and stuff, you see the same exact things around those. And those are, that's what these are supposed to be for. And this is what people got locked in on and didn't get locked into anything else, right? How am I good at playing the chop? Right? Why do people always like, well, you know, Javi's probably eating the chop right now. And yeah, I am eating the chop because I'm playing these same patterns over and over again, right? You got your quantum ranges. When they're clean, right? But when you don't, right, and you're playing a potential continuation, right? Let's say, okay, wait, right, we're flipping the trend for now, right? We're going up. I'm going to keep playing the breaks of these bearish candles until what? Until the opposite starts occurring. And then I could play the opposite way, right? This was a break, retested, then formed a range, right? But this blue candle already technically broke, so then I wouldn't have that in play. This one would technically be in play. And then there's your break, little retest there, continuation, little pop up, nice A++ that did play out okay, right? Push back down, right? This candle broke below that one, right? We had that 5-minute that still didn't break, so the 1-minute broke, and then it started chopping. Pushed back up, retested that purple up here with that 5-minute purple right there as well. Then rejected, caught a little bit of that rejection. And then finally you had your real breaking with the 5-minute lining up. The 5-minute broke, the 1-minute broke. There's your retest and there's your continuation. There's another one, right? Same thing, failed bullish move. Boom, there's your breaking, right? You got a couple wicks, right? A couple wicks here. And then there's your continuation. Now we're stuck and another potential range zone in between levels, okay? And I'm gonna wait for those candles to appear. The candles are gonna be my guide. So there's a couple setups for you to play, right? And whatever is the easiest setup or pattern for you to play, that's what you play, Ken. And that's what's beautiful about quantum. There are 4 different setups, right? The quantum ranges, the failed bullish and bearish moves, the A++ setups, and then levels, right? Levels when you have reaction. But I love level play only with the DOM, because I can see how the levels react around the DOM, right? You also have the trifecta, which is just continuation. It's a continuation from the 1, 2, and 5. So that's why I can find trades whenever I want, right? So there's a bunch to choose from, but you choose what works for you, right? This is one of the easiest setups that I've been going over because everyone gets locked in on the signals. And I'm like, guys, it's more than just the freaking signals, right? Don't get burned on the signals, play against them too. Because when you see a failed signal, usually it means a failed bullish or bearish move. And that's why I started really locking in on this with the last months of lessons, because I'm like, guys, it's like super easy. But everyone's like, well, I get this and that. And I'm like, well, okay, fine. I'm going to focus on just this part because this is literally the easiest part to get. Low risk entries all over the place. You get consistent confirmation of continuations, right? They're usually very fast plays. And they lead to bigger wins as well, right? The plays lead to bigger plays. If you let your runners run, the runners will run. And then now you're having the potential opposite, right? Now we have a failed bullish move. Did we get this right here? This is a kind of a tippy tip, a failed bearish. I'm sorry, I keep flipping the two. right? Oh, we got our 2-minute as well, right? 2-minute is testing this right here. So until that 2-minute breaks that purple candle, guess what? This is not going to be a go. That's a tippy tip break. Right, use your time frames to kind of help you determine whether it's going to be a good area to enter on a breaking candle or not. Now we have another purple on the one, right? That's extending. Now you have a bunch of blue candles with a bunch of levels below. Right? Now for me, one of two things, right? If you zoom out, it's downtrending. Okay, so be cautious. It's downtrending. The flip of a potential challenge of the trend is going to occur when you start seeing the purples break, right? We have levels, we have some blue candles kind of fighting this area. So I can see the battles between the bear and the bulls right here, or the real fight around here, right? So until one way gives, look at that hard wick down, boom, tested that 911, pulled itself hard, very violently up. Right now you got another purple candle. Now this is getting tight, right? This is why I don't want to have all these lines automatically drawn, because then you're going to have a bunch of little lines here, right? Like, look how ugly this looks, you know? And now you got that violent push up, right? Level held beautifully, nice wick on that. And there's that push. Breaks of the bearish, right? This one broke multiple bearish candles. So this candle alone, this is a nice A++ setup with just that going up against that last candle for that retracement play right here at 84. So this big candle broke 1 and 2 bearish candles. There's your retest, right? Entry would have been 50, 30-point stop loss. Do we get 30 points? You got to get 80. You got 30 points, right? You got your 1-to-1 right there. Right, but 30 points risking, right? I'm only going to enter 1 or 2 micros, and it kept going. Look at that beautiful launch. Look at that beautiful launch, right? That one candle broke through multiple bearish, and it took off. Right, your 2-minute also just launched out of the sky on the continuation. And guess what? Guess what this is as well, right? And again, right, this is why I don't want all those lines drawn. Look at this. It's a hot mess right there. I would have just had this one and none of these blues here because I have the levels below. I would have that one right here, right? Because it would need to break the levels and that candle for a push down. Beautiful hold of the level, beautiful break back up. We have almost a trifecta. You got the 2, the 1, right? You had this little formation down here. This crossover that occurred that got reclaimed, right? That blue candle is attached to that cross. Boom, 2-minute. And then the 5-minute, the cross was slightly behind. 1, 2, 3 candles, right? But that 5-minute level held beautifully as well, right? If I modify the settings, right? Because again, I like the crossover to happen within one candle. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of kind of sauce with the higher time frames, because if the higher time frame is attached to a level, even if it's a few candles behind, okay, even if it's like 2 or 3 candles, that level's attached to one of those candles. That area still has strength as long as that level was not broken. Okay, so max bar since entry candle, let me put it at 5. Let me see if that'll populate it. There it is. Okay, so this would fall under, for me, a trifecta play. 1, 2, and 5 lining up. There's your explosion. The exact same thing we saw during power hour. That is a monster setup to have. Okay, so this is something I did take this afternoon, or yeah, this was Thursday afternoon. When I saw that 5-minute level hold, I saw my 1 and the 2. I took this play off of 911. I only caught like 30 points of it. I didn't catch the whole big move. I didn't care. All right, I was happy with what I caught, and that was that 5-minute hold with a big blue that showed up later, and then you got your continuation push, right? Oh, look what we had here as well, right? Look at the 5-minute. Again, higher risk setups on the higher time frame. You had your breaking candle, your retest, right? You had your breaking candle at 92. You had your retest at 92. Stop loss would have been 40 points, right? Did you get 30? Yes, you did. You got your 30. You got your 1-to-1. And then you'd be out of that play barely, because it hit 30 and a quarter. So you'd barely skimmed out of this. And then you move on to the next one. And look where it resisted, right? Okay. These candles give you clear areas of reaction over and over and over again, right? Guess what? It was right here on the 1, right? There's the 1 on the 1 and then the 2. So when you have multiple time frames lined up, that area becomes stronger, right? We're slap dab in between two 5-minute purples as well. Okay. Is there a preference of micros based on risk assessment? Yes, JJ. Go into the quantum chat in the pin messages. Look for the challenge rules. Look for the challenge rules, and I have the exact sizing that I use based on risk on a 50K account, and you can multiply that by whatever size you have. So if you're using 100K, multiply by 2. If you're using a 150K, multiply by 3. Very simple. That's how I like to keep my sizing. So you can go in there. It's pinned in the chat. I left it in there after we did the challenge. That's in there forever. So you can go check that out. On the long push down on the 1 minute, was there no blue candle to the left that broke so you can watch the sell at 1022? 1022, 1022. Right over here. 1022. Occurred like right over here. I had to probably go out quite a bit on the one. So you had this area right here. So you had all this. I would have to zoom out all the way over here, and you would have this right here. You would have that right there, and then you have this, and then that one's already been broken by that tippy tip, but been broken. That was it. So you did have some from Wednesday where that just so happened to line up. So yeah, exactly like that, right? You could go back and mark them up, right? Because that lined up. You could absolutely go back that far. I don't go back that far, but you absolutely can. You absolutely can. I do mark them up for Asia, right? I do mark them up for Asia. All right, looks like, all right, let's see. Let's see if this push continues or not. You're just testing it now. Like, oh, 170. All right, you could take, okay, now, I'm scalping. Oh, yay, look, I'm up 300 already. And boom, look at that. I just saw it, boom, take it. It's that simple. Play it out. Trail. Let your runner run. Obviously, the examples here are just on 1 month contract. It's not going to be my true trading style, but you can see it. I'll repeat. Failed bearish move, re-entry, retest, stop loss, right? You can put below here if you want, and there's your play. I just saw it, I clicked. All right. I can't give you plenty of examples of going against quantum. Scat, I've tried it. I've tried it. I do it on purpose sometimes just to see. So this is telling me this. Let me do the opposite, and I get burned a lot. I did it one time during Power Hour when I went against my own read, and I was like, well, my gut is telling me it's going to do this FU thing, and it didn't. Look at that move. Look at that failed bullish move, that bearish move that kept going. My runner would still be running beautifully right here. The entry was 04. Your stop loss was literally like less than 10 points. 50-point go, right? We caught a play like this yesterday. Just, like super simple setups, guys. But again, you have to be able to take losses and move on from them, right? We took losses along the way. Look at that monster move, right? And again, you had another break, tippy tip break. Not a fan of these, right? Another break and push. Now we had that break, right? But the 2 minute, right, did not break. Yeah, this instance that broke that candle as well for that push. Then you had this one. You can see it here, right? This candle broke for that push right there. Now that one's gone. Now you have these two up here. Look at that. Level, purple candle. Rejection. Oh, 5 minute too. So we got that 5 minute up at 68. So this 68 is a big area of resistance, right? Big area of resistance. So if it breaks through 68, there's going to be a potential good strong push coming in. But that's a 5 minute level too. So you have to be extra patient. Extra patient. When do you trade your funded? And you're a student. I've already told you, right? That's something I share with students. I'll put my, do I have it in there? I'll pin my schedule. Like I have my orbs, right? You know about my orbs. So I can't go into I can't go into too much detail in here because this is quantum. So I have my orbs, and then I have my other specific times that I like to only trade my fundeds. I'll put it in there for you. I'll pin it in the student channel.